So, so we will discussing about the journey of ChatGPT, how the LLM model start from the late 2014 from RNN model. So we will divide the uh, the whole journey in a five stage. In first stage, we will look into the encoder decoder model and the sequential model and its types, and one research paper which is written by Ilya Sutskever. He is working in a Google Brain. And in second stage, we will discuss about the attention layer, which is used to overcome the overcome the problem which is faced in the stage one. After that, we will look into the transfer learning, and then in stage four, we will explore transformer model, and at the end, in fifth stage, we will discuss about LLM and ChatGPT. So in first stage, we will start with a very basic concept, neural network. Does anyone know about what is neural network?
It is maybe it is like a chain of nodes connected by links which have weights. Uh, it was inspired by our human brain. Like we have neurons, but biologically we have synapses. But in neural network, digital neural network, we have links which contains weights. So for each input, the particular link gets activated according to its weight. Maybe.
Uh, it is right. Basically, neural network is a mathematical model. It consists of the of layers of artificial neurons, where each neurons process input, apply some weights and bias, pass it through an activation function, and send the result of one neuron to another layer. Uh, in neurons, in in neuron network, there is a three state. One is known as a input layer, second one is a hidden layer, and third one is a output layer. So in input layer, it receive raw data like image. If input is image, so then input data is pixel of image, and if input is tag sentence, so the input will be the words of its sentence. And the hidden layer perform the transformation using weighted weighted calculation and some activation functions like ReLU, TANH, and sigmoid. There is multiple activation function. Uh, at the last, the output layer, it produce the final result, like classify if the outcome is classification, so it classify into our 0 and 1. And suppose the output was translation machine translation, so it translate our text into desired language. Uh, in simple world, think a neural network like a team of tiny workers passing messages through each other to solve problem. Each worker processes information and passes it to the next worker until they reach the final answer. This is this is how the computer recognize the patterns in from our training data. So we will discuss about neural network, and now we will discuss about the sequential model. So the sequential models are a specific type of neural neural network designed to handle data with temporal dependency. They consider the order of input element and can learn pattern across sequences. Basically, the sequence model is designed to predict the predict the sequential result. For example, suppose we have to predict the weather forecasting or time series analysis. So in that case, we will use the sequential model, and the RNN is the most common type of sequential model, also known their ability to process the sequential manner, making well suited for tasks such as natural language processing and time series analysis. The sequential model is used to time series prediction as well as speech recognition, and also in some NLP tasks. There is a multiple type of sequential model, neural RNN, long LSTM, which is known as long short-term memory, and there is a four type of sequential model: one to many, many to many to one, and asynchronous many to many, and synchronous many to many. In many to one, the output with the out the in many to one model, the output is the output the input length is more than the output. Suppose, for example, we have to predict. Suppose we have some classify the images. Which one is it is dog or cat? So we give multiple images. So it classify into zero or one. So it is many to one. In one to many, it is opposite of one many to one. In one to many, we will give just one input, and the output will be many. So in that case, we the, one to many. The text generation is an example of one to many. Suppose we have to predict the next word or next sentence of based on the given sentence. So it is an example of one to many. Uh, Asynchronous many to many is similar to many, but in asynchronous many to many, we will the output is not output means output का जो लेंथ होता है वो इनपुट लेंथ के इक्वल नहीं होता है. जैसे मशीन ट्रांसलेशन, गूगल ट्रांसलेटर में अगर हम इनपुट इंग्लिश में देंगे, तो अगर वो फ्रेंच में कन्वर्ट होगा तो उसका लेंथ जो इनपुट का लेंथ है उसके अकॉर्डिंग नहीं रहेगा. तो इट इज यूज इन machine translation, asynchronous many to many. Asynchronous many to many is uh, is a similar length in input and output. It is used in video frame prediction, predicting the future frame in a video based on past frame. Uh, I will show you the diagram. Here is a diagram of a many to one. So the three boxes is suppose it is a input and the one is our output. So it is an example of many to one, and same for one to many, and async many to many. So we have given two inputs and the output length will be three. Hence async many to many. There is a three input and the output length is also three. It is all about sequence model. Uh, it is a news research paper which is published by Elias Sutskever. He is, I think, he is co-founder of OpenAI, but अभी नहीं है, पहले थे. अभी का current मुझे याद नहीं है. And also he has work in a Google Brain. So they propose a research paper which is known as a sequence to sequence learning with neural network in 2014 with their colleagues. Uh, they introduce a new way for computers to understand and generate text. Their method called sequence to sequence help machine handle tasks, language translation, text summarization, and chatbots. The in this paper, the sequence to sequence model has two main parts. One is encoder, and second one is a decoder. So the uh, here is a diagram. So the encoder reads the input sentence, for example, in English, and it converts into the numbers, uh, set of numbers in suppose vectors, fixed size of representation of numbers, and the decoder is used to uses this thought to generate an output sentence. For example, the transformers are great. So it encoder takes this sentence and convert it into numerical form. And the numerical form it takes the decoder, which is mentioned in red color, and convert it into uh, translate it into another languages, which is I think it is in German. So it's all about the research paper, which is mentioned about the encoder and decoder. But they in this research paper they faced one problem, which is the problem researcher faced while developing the model. The researcher faced some challenges like fixed size representation. The encoder has to squeeze the entire input sentence into fixed length set of numbers. This work well for short sentences, but cause problem with long or complex one. And in this architecture, the loss of information, some important details were lost when the input was converted into a fixed size of representation. Means ये आर्किटेक्चर में ये आर्किटेक्चर खाली जो शॉर्ट सेंटेंसेस होते थे उसके लिए ही काम करता था. अगर हम बड़े बड़े पैराग्राफ ऐसा इनपुट करते थे तो वो कंटेक्स्ट समझ ही नहीं पा रहा था ये मॉडल बड़े बड़े पैराग्राफ का. और रिजल्ट में हमको हेलोसिनेशन या डिजायर आउटपुट नहीं मिल रहा था. और इसमें शॉर्ट सेंटेंसेस के लिए भी बहुत सारी कंप्यूटेशनल पावर लगती थी. और इसमें विदाउट कंटेक्स्ट एम्बेडिंग होती थी. मतलब ट्रांसफॉर्मर्स आर ग्रेट. सपोज अगर दूसरे कोई सेंटेंस में हम ट्रांसफॉर्मर वर्ड रखेंगे तो वो दोनों सेंटेंस में ट्रांसफॉर्मर का सेम ही एम्बेडिंग होगा. कंटेक्स्ट लेस एम्बेडिंग हो रही थी. So these are the problems which is faced by the researcher. For overcome this issue, they they introduced the attention layer, which is known as which is used to solve this problem. So we will again look into the deep into encoder and decoder model. So the encoder and decoder is widely used in sequence to sequence tasks like machine translation and text summarization. So suppose the encoder a stack of LSTM is all are the LSTM models stack. Process the input sequence and convert it into peak size context vector. And the decoder is another LSTM stack, takes the vector and generate the output sequence step by step. So the encoder and decoder, this architecture is used basically used in the machine translation in earlier stage, and also text summarization and text speech to text. The whole architecture is used for small data.